Hi guys, it's been a while, and oh my gosh, whenever I say it's been a while, it's always been a while. Okay, like I know I should be making more content for my different channels. That includes my Instagram account, but I haven't really found the time to. But I promise you guys, more good content, book-related content, travel content, or anything under the sun is coming your way. If you have the time and if you want to, also follow my Instagram account. It's called Wonker Writes. I talk writing and books, and I try to make Instagram reels. I'll link that account on the description below. Okay, I had to re-angle because like my neighbor was looking at me. I hope they don't think that I was doing an OnlyFans. I gave in. I went ahead and bought myself a copy of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and as you can probably tell, I devoured this book and I have zero regrets buying it. Okay, so if you're anything like me, you probably have spent hours on BookTok and Bookstagram just looking through the different IG reels, TikToks, or any short videos where people just recommend books to you. And like, not to put myself in a pedestal or something, but and in no way do I think like my taste in books are more superior than others, but I haven't had any luck with the books recommended on that section. Okay, controversial take. I picked up It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover and ended up not finishing the book. I also like I bought The House in the Cerulean Sea. Well, I did finish that book. It was quite cute and I want to do another review of it. It still didn't end up being something that, you know, I'd pick up all over and over again. Like, just for me, it never really lived up to the hype. Another example is Imaginary Friends by Stephen Chbosky. Like, I had heard so many great things on BookTok about that book, like how terrifying it was and like how it kept a lot of people up at night. But until now, I haven't even finished that book. By the way, if you liked any of the titles I just mentioned, please do not attack me. That is just my humble opinion. I'm just saying that they didn't click with me, and if you like them, then you do you. Now let's go back to the start of this video. Title of the book, I don't think this book needs any introduction. You'll see it in every trending book post. It's on everybody's favorite book list, and I don't blame them. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is an absolute page turner. This is why I read. Okay, now a lot of you guys have probably read this book, probably even over and over again, and I don't blame you. But for those who haven't, here's a no spoiler overview. So basically, the book is what the title implies. The book is all about Evelyn Hugo. She is a Hollywood movie star during the golden age of Hollywood. So think Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, you name it. So the book has two point of views. One is obviously we see and learn about Evelyn's story, from her life in the 60s to her different love affairs, and then also it tells the story from the point of view of a reporter who is relatively unknown. Her name is Monique Grant, and then one day she gets plucked out of obscurity to interview the one and only Evelyn Hugo. So going into this book, you'd probably question immediately, like, why Monique? What's her connection to Evelyn Hugo? Why was she picked out of all the different writers in her magazine to do this interview? The good thing about this book is that it answers all those questions, from Evelyn's early childhood, her connection with Monique, her rise to fame, her highs and lows, and of course her 7 highly publicized marriages. Now, we obviously can't get into this book without exploring the dynamics of the women during that time. Sorry, let me scratch that. It is not the dynamics of the women during that time, but until this time, women are always under the scrutiny of their love lives. For example, whenever somebody talks about Gary Oldman, Larry King, Nicolas Cage, Kenny Rogers, James Cameron, they're always actors, directors, singers, and they're always just basically remembered for all what they've achieved throughout their life. But when we think of women, like Elizabeth Taylor, Jennifer Lopez, Rita Hayworth. I hope I'm saying her name right. The articles never fail to mention the many loves of their lives. So if you think about it, women are always under the microscope when it comes to their love lives. And that sort of sexist dynamic is explored throughout the book. On each chapter, there's a clipping of who Evelyn is dating, who she's been seen with, and just the media criticizing her for her many paramours. And I think that's quite genius on the writer's part, because initially when you see the title, like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you go like, okay, this is about some woman and her different husbands. But when we take that journey with Monique and understand more about Evelyn's life, we learn that there's so much more to her than just the tabloid rumors. Okay, let me warn you. I mean, it's on the title anyway. This next part, I'll be discussing some spoilers. Okay, so what I really loved about this book is that Taylor Jenkins... What? Okay, so one thing I loved about this book is that Taylor Jenkins Reid, she could have gone the very predictable route, and then she could have made Harry Evelyn's greatest love. I think in some way they truly were soulmates, but in a truly like non-romantic or platonic type of way. But while they were meant to be in each other's life, like so many of our friends, Evelyn had one true love. And for those who have read the book, that is Celia St. James. And I know she's not one of the seven husbands. Like, going into this book, like, you never would have seen that coming. Now, I know some people have said that, like, their love story is a little bit cliche, and I see that. And I also see the fact that, like, you know, they fell in love, like, pretty quick. I'm not a big fan of hasten romance. Is that what you call it? Anyway, that wouldn't really bother you as the story went on. I'm not really a big fan of a lot of book romances, but something about Celia and Evelyn's story just really stuck with me. I mean, what's wrong with my English? Anyway, it absolutely broke my heart when early on in the book, like Harry, and Harry's husband John were all living in each other's apartment as one big happy bearded family, because somehow in my heart, like I just knew that wasn't going to last. I mean, it happened too early on in the book. During this time, loving this freely was truly taboo, and considering, you know, what was at stake for all four of them. I mean, John was an athlete, Harry was this like up and coming producer, and then both Celia and Evelyn were like at the height of their careers. You really can't blame Harry, John, Celia, or even Evelyn for hiding their love from the rest of the world. It would truly seem like all four of them were dancing barefoot so happily, but on shattered glass. Now, as for the seven husbands, you know, sorry. I mean, I was really angry. I didn't like him. But I love that Taylor Jenkins Reid made him like that matinee idol. The all-American handsome man, rich, blonde. I don't know if he's blonde. I couldn't remember his description, but I remember how much I hated him when I read his chapters. I mean, I love that she didn't make him the greatest love. I mean, like a lot of authors would have gone that route, and I'm so happy that she didn't, because sorry. Okay, so like for more context on why I feel so upset about this Dawn character, I mean, Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid, thank you for invoking a lot of emotion out of me, but I didn't like him. I mean, I don't think anybody does. I mean, it's a red flag if you do, but they obviously didn't have the best marriage. I mean, he was an abusive piece of shit, and he never changed, and I think that is a reality that many women face. Like, a lot of people just excuse people because of their social statuses, and especially during that time, like, who knows how many of these 60s glamorous Hollywood actors were just the biggest a-holes. I bet there was a lot of them. Now, Evelyn's marriage to Don might not have been good. And she does seem to get into a couple of marriages with guys that are pretty questionable. But a lot of these decisions she made was to further her career. As for the rest of the the rest of the six husbands, we get to know their story along the way. A lot of these relationships were transactional relationships, as you might have already guessed. I mean, she's a movie star. She's trying to do what's best for her career, just to navigate through the slippery slopes of Hollywood. And yeah, so she gets into this loveless marriage, and each time, like, you feel her pain, not just because that she has to fake her way to the top, but because she's also hurting Celia along the way. And of course, speaking of Celia, like, we're told off the bat, like in a few chapters in, that Celia is Evelyn's greatest love. And at some point, towards the end, you even see Evelyn finally become happy as she marries into Celia's family. I mean, it's not the ending that we want, but when she marries Celia's brother, we kind of see that sort of relief, and we do that sigh of relief for Evelyn because we can't help but feel happy for her. So the biggest twist comes late into the book, obviously, and it's all about the connection of Evelyn and Monique. Okay, so a lot of guys said that the twist is quite anticlimactic, and I don't know what drugs they're on, but I gasped because I never saw it coming. I thought that Monique was Evelyn's daughter or Celia's daughter, but boy, I was wrong. So the big twist is that Monique is the daughter of Harry's lover. And we never really see that coming. When you reread the book, it kind of comes into full circle. What Evelyn did with Monique's father, that scene where she covers up the accident to make him look like he was a drunk driver, it's just a reflection of how she's been her whole life. Evelyn has always had to keep up with appearance, not just for her, but for the people around her, for Harry. And she did it often at the expense of others. She had to leave her first husband, Ernie Diaz, the poor Ernie Diaz that we meet on the first few chapters of the book, to start her journey towards becoming a movie star. And she chose, in one of the most heartbreaking chapters, to break Celia's heart to, sleep with Mick Riva and eventually marry him. And of course, she had to deny her entire Cuban heritage and change her last name, all for stardom. I mean, it's who Evelyn was. She was selfish, she was so flawed, but she was so aware of it. She knew she was hurting people, but she had to do it for the sake of her name. Whatever you think about her towards the end of the book, that's really up to you, the reader. All of those random thoughts being said out loud in the video that I'm uploading on YouTube, I wanted to say that I'm giving this story a solid 10. I know it's not groundbreaking, and some people say that the story is a little bit overdone, but hey, again, this is why I read. This is such a good book. It's super engaging, and I have been in a reading slump for a while, and after reading this book, I think I'll be in another reading slump because I don't think anything can top it in the meantime. Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid, I hope you're watching this video. Wow. Girl, you can write. Every chapter is that kind of chapter where you just say one more chapter and then it's 1 a.m. at night and you have work the next day. This book is the literal definition of a page turner. The number of times I've actually cried in the book, the number of pages I've highlighted with my poor attempt to highlight with sticky notes like most of the kids do in BookTok. I have no words. I just want everyone to read it, and I envy anyone who has never read this book because you get to enter into the magical life of Evelyn Hugo all over again. Sorry guys, I had to re-angle the camera because I was low bat. As you can tell from my glowing review, I did give this book 5 huge Hollywood stars on Goodreads. Like, I know Netflix is adapting this to a film. I personally think that it would have worked better as a series, but I won't say anything about that adaptation until it comes out. Until then, please do get a copy of this book. Please do not buy fakes. Go to your local bookstore, and if you find that the bookstore price is a little bit expensive for you, there are a number of used or secondhand books that you can get a copy of. So I've added a few annotations on the book. These are my favorite quotes and my favorite moments from Evelyn's story, and I'm looking forward to sharing that on my Instagram account. Again, you can follow it below. My name is Wonker Writes on Instagram, and if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for spending the time to watch this video. It means a lot to me. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.